Welcome to The Explainer. What if I told you your financial situation has nothing to do with luck? What if it's a direct reflection of your own choices? Well, that's the pretty challenging idea from entrepreneurs Margolin Sansembai and Saeed Murat Davlatov. And today, we're going to break down their powerful financial wisdom. And this quote really sets the tone for everything we're about to discuss. It's one of those hard truths they talk about. The core idea: personal responsibility is the first and most important step toward getting control of your money. Excuses? Well, they say those are just traps that keep you stuck exactly where you are. And they argue this isn't just some small oversight. No, they believe this blind spot in our traditional education system is a massive, fundamental flaw. It's the thing that's actually stopping most people from building the life they really truly want. Okay, so if we're in this trap, how do we get out? How do we achieve that financial freedom we're all after? Well, before we can find the solution, we've got to dig in and really understand the root of the problem first. Right, Section 1, the financial blind spot. Think about it. Why do so many of us, people who are smart, who are well-educated, and all sorts of other things, still struggle so much with money? Let's get into that. So, Sansembai and Davlatov make this really important distinction. See, our schools and universities, they're fantastic at creating specialists, right? They make doctors, engineers, you name it. But what they totally miss the boat on is financial intelligence. It means you can be an absolute genius in your field and still be completely lost when it comes to managing your own money. And that quote, wow, it just nails the consequence of all this. Without that financial know-how, people are just kind of left adrift. You end up just reacting to whatever life throws at you instead of actually shaping your own circumstances. But here's the good news. This cycle can be broken. And the fix, they argue, starts with the next generation. Which brings us to Section 2, raising financially smart kids. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we set up the next generation for success? Well, it all comes down to teaching them the basic money principles that, let's be honest, most of us never learned. Get this, Davlatov's research with his students turned up a pretty startling number. A kid can get up to $13,500 a year just from pocket money and gifts. I mean, that is a serious income, and we're handing it over to them with absolutely zero education on how to manage it. So here's their game plan for parents, a simple 6-step framework. You start by making money real, actual cash they can hold. Then you teach them the discipline of tracking what comes in and what goes out. I love this next one, paying them dividends to reward them for saving over the long haul. And this is crucial. You pay them for doing chores, for contributing, not just for getting good grades. That way you're teaching them that education has its own value. Okay, that's great for the kids, but what about us? What about the adults who are already out there working and just feel stuck? Let's jump into Section 3 and look at their 4 ways to increase your income. Now this quote, this is a huge mindset shift. The point is, if you have a really small income, there's a limit to how much you can save, right? You can only cut back so much. You're not going to budget your way to wealth from a low starting point. So what's their answer? The focus has to be on earning more. And they lay out 4 really clear paths to do just that. The first 2 are about growing where you are, taking on more responsibility to climb the ladder, or just becoming so good at your job that you're more valuable. And the other 2, well, that's about forging your own path, either with a side hustle or by going all in on your own business. That third one, the sinecura, is such a cool concept. Think of it as a job that gives you a steady paycheck. It might not be huge, but what it really gives you is time. Time to chase your real passion. They use the example of the musician Victor Tsoi, who worked as a boiler man. That job paid the bills, sure, but more importantly, it gave him the headspace and the hours to write the songs that turned him into a legend. But what if you're not just stuck? What if you're in a really deep hole with debt? This brings us to Section 4, escaping the debt trap. And they have a really powerful and maybe even a little counterintuitive path out. You've probably heard this one before, but it's so profound. The first step when you're in a hole is to stop digging. And what's digging in this case? It's that frantic search for another loan, another quick fix scheme. No, the absolute first thing you have to do is just stop and completely change your approach. And this is how you do it. This 4-step process is all about that mental reset. Step 1, stop the excuses. Step 2, take 100% responsibility. And then you do the thing that probably sounds terrifying. You go talk to your creditors. Why? Think about it. They are literally the people most invested in your success. They become your allies because, well, they only get their money back if you succeed. And they apply this exact same logic to helping out family. Just handing over cash? That just creates dependency, and it doesn't solve the real problem long term. A much smarter way to help, they say, is to help them get a bank loan. For instance, you could put your own money in a deposit account as collateral for their loan. What does that do? It forces them to be responsible to the bank, not to you. And that builds real financial discipline. All right, which brings us to our final section. Your money, your responsibility. This is really the core idea that ties everything we've talked about together, and it all comes down to the power of your focus. When you really boil it all down, your financial life comes down to this simple choice. Are you focused on a goal, or are you focused on a problem? If you have a goal, you're focused on developing, on moving forward. But if you're only focused on your problems, you're just stuck, completely consumed by whatever challenges are right in front of you. And that really leads to this final, hard truth. Either you play the game, or the game plays you. Look, if you're not making proactive decisions about your life and your money, you can bet that circumstances and other people will start making them for you. There's no opting out of this game. So the real question they leave us with isn't just about your bank account. It's about who's in the driver's seat of your life. Are you making the decisions, or are they being made for you? Because the path to mastering your money, and really to personal freedom, it all starts with that one single decision: to drop the excuses and take 100% responsibility. Thanks for watching.